for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank it with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby Maine. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay.
You know what I'm saying? Chief Keef, all that shit over with, man. All that shit over with, man. Drop another record and watch what happened to you, bro. Believe that, G. Believe that, G. Believe that, G. You know what I mean? Believe that. I done seen the murders. I done been around the robberies. I done been around kidnappings and everything that you can imagine.
First at noon, a developing story in Fort Lauderdale as a luxury car was fired at this morning and then crashed right into a restaurant. Witnesses on the scene and sources tell us that the driver was a famous South Florida rap star.
Hey Rick, you have any update on the shooting, man?
He doesn't answer anything.
But that smile says it all. Despite threats from the fine young gentleman of the gangster disciples, Rick's walking around without a care in the world.
No one was hurt. That is the good news in all of this. But bullets went flying all over Las Olas Boulevard. There's a bullet hole here in this nail salon's window, shattering the window. And take a look here across the street. There's a bullet hole in that parking meter. Also, another one in the window of the Floridian restaurant. Police are now confirming this noon that the driver of the car that was targeted in this shooting is William Leonard Roberts, a.k.a. Rick Ross, a famous South Florida rapper. And after this shooting, he crashed his car. Well, Rick Ross has had some recent trouble with violence. He canceled a pair of concerts in North Carolina because of gang threats. And last February, a man was shot and killed at a home that he owns in Miami Gardens.
Public service announcement right here, straight to the point. This straight at Rick Ross, the whole MOBB music is fuck you, real talk. The whole public service announcement is about this. Look, first of all, let me get it straight. Larry Hoover don't have nothing to do with this, so for y'all take the tape back and try to put LJ and his dad in it, they don't have nothing to do with this right here. This G's coming from all over talking about this right here. Hey Rick, straight up, you know what you did first time we gave you a pass on the Larry Hoover Big Meat song. You were supposed to took care of some business you didn't take care of. You know who you need to tune in to. Now, you done really disrespected the organization by putting your face on, you gonna put your star on, your face in this star right here. You see that right there? It ain't nothing but 3 people that rock this star, the Jews, GDs, Illuminati. GD folk, GD folk. You not Jew, you not GD, so I guess the Illuminati got you. D-Cypher, D-Cypher. It's like this, it's like this right here. We pulling up on you, we pressing up on you the whole MOBB. It don't matter music. It don't matter who in MOBB. Everybody on your label is in trouble. GD folk, GD folk. D-Cypher. Hey, and check this out. Whatever city, whatever state, pressure. Hey, pressure on. So promoters, we letting your promoters know. Before you book Rick Ross, y'all need to talk to us, G. GD folk, GD folk. It ain't going down. Pressure. You see what I'm saying? You see that right here? This ain't even a penny of the ball. We gonna put this shit on World Star. Wherever it go. This shout out to anybody. Anybody who got a problem with my little brother Offset, man. Like I say, bro, you got a problem with me. This ain't no Twitter, Instagram, social media shit, man. This real life shit, man. This real drama, man. My little brother Plug, and you know what I mean? Shout out to Quavo, shout out to Takeoff. Now y'all tweet that and say whatever y'all want to say, bro. Believe me, pull up gang in your face, bro. Don't make her put a green light on you and put a no-fly zone on you, bro, because you won't be able to go nowhere,
New at
man.
11, a story you'll see only here. Yesterday's multi-state gang takedown resulted in dozens of arrests, but one in particular caught my attention. Kevin Clayton, he's also known as KK on the streets of DeKalb County. He told me just months ago that he had left the street life behind. A federal indictment, it disagrees. Just one station with the new developments tonight.
I done seen the murders, I done been around the robberies, I done been around kidnappings and everything that you can imagine.
It was back in February when I first introduced you to Kevin Clayton, better known as KK. I told you that once a prominent leader in the Gangsta Disciples, Clayton claimed that he had turned his life around. A lot of these guys do look at you and say, you've been there and you've been in places that they can't even imagine, I imagine.
Yeah, I done been there. Like you say, I done been on both sides. Like I say, I came up playing football and baseball, athletic side. You know, my mom and dad, they kept me in the sports growing up. But as I got older, I ventured off and started doing my own thing. That's when I got into the drugs and I got into the gang life.
But according to this 55-page indictment, the feds say that KK never left the gang life.
They operate in a very complex network.
KK is one of 32 people indicted Wednesday in federal court. According to that indictment, these 32 are accused of various racketeering charges like murder, robbery, extortion, drug trafficking, wire fraud, and bank fraud. They're accused of being members of the street gang Gangsta Disciples, the same gang that KK told me he had left behind. Instead, he claimed to have started BCF, Better Communities and Families, 3 years ago. It was all to empower former and current gang members to get on a straight path.
You don't recruit to go kill, you know what I mean? You recruit to better the community. And I started the organization reaching out to some of the blood members, the OG Crip members, and the OG GD members that I knew, and we brought it together.
I met KK and the BCF crew at Rock of Ages Lutheran Church on Memorial Drive, where young men in his organization serve meals to the homeless every Wednesday.
You got a lot of young guys here.
It's a good thing.
Yeah?
That's the best thing.
That's the best thing. Why?
Because me being the OG, they listen.
As part of the indictment, Britt Johnson with the FBI in Atlanta says that while Gangsta Disciple members like KK were serving the community, they were simultaneously victimizing it.
This investigation has shown that members of the Gangsta Disciples who were involved in community-based activities such as feeding the homeless, Stop the Violence rallies, and community fundraisers are simultaneously involved in violent criminal activities as well as narcotics trafficking and fraud.
According to the indictment, KK asked another defendant for a contact to help smuggle marijuana into a prison. A year later, he's accused of ordering Gangsta Disciple members to assault a Bloods gang member. That same year, he's accused of bragging that the Gangsta Disciples had infiltrated police departments and the parole office.
Well, she was coming from the store, actually.
But when I met with KK, he made it clear that he believed that gangs were not a problem. It was what the gangs had been doing. He insisted the gangs should be protecting their communities, not victimizing them.
She got shot like 17 times.
When I met with KK, we went to Flat Shoals Road, a hot spot for gang crime.
Right here on Flat Shoals Road, just this street right here alone, I lost a lot of friends that's in prison and a lot of friends that's dead in the cemetery.
We talked about a 17-year-old girl gunned down during a drive-by, the fear that was rampant in this community over senseless killings. And we talked about how to make this community better and safer. But according to investigators, what was really going on was not the end of gang life for KK. They claim that he was and is one of those who is making this community
News
unsafe.
5 o'clock, we have new video showing one of 32 suspected gang members arrested across the metro area.
Keep my head up and stay strong.
A former DeKalb County police officer was also arrested in the raids today. Channel 2's Richard Elliott is live in DeKalb with how investigators say that officer bragged, Richard, that he was a hitman.
In this indictment doesn't just cover things in DeKalb County. FBI conducted raids in Cobb and Paulding, also involves investigations in Valdosta, in Macon, and the city of Atlanta. But DeKalb's police chief told me he's disappointed. It also involves one of his now former officers. This is a photo of now former DeKalb County police officer Vancito Gums, now facing charges of being part of a vast criminal conspiracy involving the notorious street gang, the Gangster Disciples.
I was saddened and disappointed to find out that one of our former officers was one of the members that was indicted.
DeKalb's police chief James Conroy talked with me and says Gumbs resigned last October after investigators say he lied to them about his involvement in using some illegal drugs.
So as we were preparing to terminate him for that, he went ahead and resigned and left before the investigation was completed.
Only Channel 2 was there as the FBI raided a Marietta apartment complex as they picked up 30 of 32 alleged gang members. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the gangster disciples used charitable organizations as fronts for their illegal activity. And according to the indictment, Vancito Gumbs bragged that he was a hitman for the organization. DeKalb District Attorney Robert James says gang members pretended to mentor young men, but really just led them into a life of crime.
They recruit our young men. And so they don't just bring futures to a violent end, but they also lure these young men away from a path of straight and narrow.
And the U.S. Attorney says the gangster disciples are responsible for, get this, 10 murders and 12 attempted murders here in Georgia. We're live in DeKalb County, Richard Elliott, Channel 2 Action News.
And Channel 2 Action News went page by page through the indictment. Many of the crimes happened right here around the metro area. We covered at least 3 of them. In 2011, a woman found a body along Circle 75 Parkway near Windy Hill Road in Cobb County. Investigators say 3 suspected gang members dumped Derek Gray Jr. His wife was 6 months pregnant. In March 2014, police say another gang member shot and killed 21-year-old Anthony Bowers on Old Bill Cook Road in South Fulton. And in July 2015, police say a suspected gangster disciple killed DeMarco Franklin at a gas station on Holcomb Road in Stone Mountain. We talked to his mother a month after his death.
He was like, I got to get on out of here. I'll come back through later. And he gave me a hug. We said our favorite prayer. And then he left after saying, I love you.
Police say Franklin was meeting his girlfriend and her 3-year-old son. Investigators say these men are also members of the gangster disciples. Federal agents tracked them down near Memphis, Tennessee. We got 8 of their mugshots. At least 15 were arrested. And we have more details on the indictment. It included 85 counts against up to 48 people. The indictment details the hierarchy and inner workings of the gangster disciples gang and also included descriptive accounts of suspects involved in crimes including theft, various violence, drug possession, and distribution. It also included examples of racketeering, prostitution, and gun violence.
A 2016 indictment in a RICO case of 32 alleged gang members would allege that 4 members of the group were responsible for extorting a Maybach Music Group rapper that the indictment would only name as RR. And during trial, one of the 32 members that was indicted, a guy by the name of Markel White, or Kel, or Markel Taylor, who the indictment would list as a regent for multiple gangster disciple counts in the Macon, Georgia area, would allegedly testify that it was his understanding that Rick Ross would end up paying the gang like $3 million, saying that the initial payment was supposed to have been 6, but would say that he thought they worked something out to like 3. And while on the stand, Markel White would go on to identify Kevin KK Clayton, or OG Clayton, as the enforcer of the gangster disciples in Georgia, while pointing to OG KK as the face of the online videos that has surfaced attempting to extort the Miami rapper. Hey, what up though? It's your lad Popalot. We posted in Georgia. Salute the almighty mob. Y'all meet us on flash shows. An August 2020 Change.org petition describes OG KK as a public figure in Atlanta, saying that he is praised for uniting Atlanta street gangs by taking the letters from the Bloods, the Crips, and the Folks and changing them to an acronym, Better Communities and Families. It would say that the group cleaned up neighborhoods, fed and clothed the homeless, and held school supply drives and support for single mothers. But Special Agent in Charge, Britt Johnson, would say it was all a front for a sophisticated crime ring, saying that the good deeds were not as they seemed and they were only done to impress young recruits and their parents. And though he wouldn't be named at the top of the indictment, he would be looked at as one of the leaders of the group. His face would be plastered all over local news, being labeled the chief enforcer for the entire state of Georgia and one of the founding members of the notorious Hate Committee, an enforcer and cleanup crew for the Gangster Disciples. The government would admit that it was not quite sure when the gang was formed, but they would argue that it was no later than 2009, and they would claim that it would be the very next year in 2010 when OGKK Donald Glass, a guy by the name of Louis Mobley, founded the vicious enforcement wing of the Gangster Disciples titled the Hate Committee. And Alonzo Walton, the person named at the top of the indictment and described as the governor of Georgia for the Gangster Disciples, was said to have stamped and approved the Hate Committee's existence in their role. The government would present evidence that from the year of 2011 to 2015, the group will be responsible for fraud losses of nearly $500,000, the trafficking of large amounts of heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, illegal prescription drugs, as well as marijuana, multiple robberies, upwards of 25 shootings, including 8 murders, with people in the city saying that it probably was even more than that. And no one was immune to it, as we've seen in the case with Rick Ross. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions about that situation is most people believe that they ended up on his bumper due to the BMF song that he would release in 2010, rapping the lyrics, "I think I'm Big Meech, Larry Hoover." But it wasn't actually that. And it would be 2 years from the release of that song in November of 2012 when the indictment would allege that defendants Shantae Craig, Alonzo Walton, OGKK, and Donald Glass, as well as other Gangster Disciples, would threaten Rick Ross with physical harm unless the MMG CEO paid the gang for the use of their name and symbols. The group would be offended by the cover art of Rick Ross's third mixtape titled The Black Bar Mitzvah that was released October the 8th in 2012. The artwork would feature Rick Ross's face centered in the middle of a golden star that was very similar to the 6-point Star of David. Now, with the group supposedly letting Rick Ross slide with the Larry Hoover reference just years earlier, maybe they thought that he was playing with them. Whatever the case was, coincidentally, right around that same time, his tour date started getting shaky. Now, it's still somewhat of a mystery if the group was actually able to get that $3 million or any money out of Rick Ross. And I'm not sure if it was the experience from that situation, but OGKK seemed extremely comfortable putting himself in the middle of a beef that the Migos would find themselves in with Chief Keef and the Glory Gang right around the end of 2012 or so, in an online video where he would pretty much pledge his allegiance to the Migos, mainly Offset. He would even go as far as threaten Chief Keef about recording any songs referencing the Migos or his beef with them. Now, we have no idea if that video had any impact on the beef whatsoever, but if my memory suits me correctly, I do remember that beef did not last long at all. But with KK boasting to have reach in up to 24 states, almost half in the U.S., I definitely see how that might be a factor in a potential beef situation. Now, another person that will be arrested during this RICO would be a Stone Mountain resident and former DeKalb County police officer by the name of Vancito Gums, who was said to be under the wing of OGKK, with the indictment stating that while he was employed for DeKalb County PD, federal agents would capture him on a recorded phone call speaking to KK. In the indictment, Gums is described as a self-professed hitman for the gang. Now, who knows if that was just him selling wolf tickets, but for his part of the conspiracy, he would end up being sentenced to 15 years on the house. OGKK himself would end up receiving a 33-year sentence, with a lot of his supporters claiming to this day that his arrest was unjust. Now, y'all make sure y'all hit the red bell and subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real trill spill shit is dropping. Y'all head downstairs to the comment box. Y'all let me know what cities we need to go to, what stories we need to tell, what we missed, what I got wrong. All of that, hit me directly, Instagram, Twitter, POP_A_LOT. And until the next jug, y'all know the situation. It's Shades Popalot. Salute the almighty mob.